What happens when the world's most polarizing innovator walks into a studio armed with facts, and the host is ready to mock every move he's ever made? What if comedy isn't enough to stop the truth from landing like a punchline? This isn't just another interview. It's the kind of night that rewrites headlines. The neon glow of the Ed Sullivan Theater flickered with anticipation. A wave of applause echoed through the rafters as Stephen Colbert adjusted his tie, smiling into the camera like a man sharpening a knife behind his back. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "you know our next guest, billionaire, genius, Twitter addict, rocket man, or, depending on who you ask, supervillain." The audience laughed. "Please welcome the one and only Elon Musk." Elon stepped onto the stage with a confident stride, his black suit crisp, his expression unreadable. He extended a hand to Colbert, who took it with mock hesitation. "You're real," Colbert quipped. "I thought you'd beam in holographically from Mars." Elon smirked. "That would have been more fuel efficient." The audience chuckled, but Colbert's eyes glinted. He wasn't here to be charmed. From the first question, the interview was laced with sarcasm. "So, Elon," Colbert began, "you recently suggested that journalists should be rated like Uber drivers. Do you want reporters to get 5 stars for flattering you and 1 for asking questions?" Elon leaned forward. "No, Stephen, I want transparency. If someone writes something intentionally false, people should know. That's not about flattery, it's about accountability." Colbert smiled like a lion about to pounce. "And who decides what's false? You? The same guy who posts memes about AI killing us all?" A few laughs. Elon didn't blink. "When the World Health Organization labels AI as a threat, it's not a meme, it's a warning." There was a beat of silence. Then Colbert changed direction. "Well, speaking of threats, let's talk about Twitter." The crowd murmured with anticipation. "You bought a platform built on conversation and turned it into a gladiator pit," Colbert jabbed. "Do you really believe free speech means letting people scream fire in a crowded theater?" Elon's tone cooled. "No, but I believe in letting people ask who set the fire and why the exits are locked." A few gasps. What happens when the jokes run dry, but the facts keep coming? Can a punchline survive a payload of data? And what if the audience starts laughing less and listening more? Colbert took a theatrical sip from his mug, leaning back slightly. "Okay, Elon, let's talk climate. You've said you want to save the planet, yet you run multiple factories. Doesn't that make you the most eco-friendly polluter in history?" The audience laughed, waiting for the punch. Musk didn't smile. "Every Tesla replaces a combustion engine. Every gigafactory reduces long-term emissions. I'm not perfect, but I'm not pretending solar panels grow on trees either." Colbert arched a brow. "So you're the savior and the sinner?" "I'm just trying to be the engineer," Elon replied. "If you want saints, you're in the wrong century." Laughter gave way to a few nods. The temperature in the room was shifting. Colbert pivoted again. "All right, AI, you tweet that it's humanity's biggest threat, but you invest in it. Isn't that like warning people about fire while building a bonfire in your garage?" Elon folded his hands. "Stephen, if I wanted to scare people, I'd talk about the politicians overseeing AI policy. I build it so I can understand it, and I warn about it because most people don't." Silence. Stephen looked momentarily outflanked. He blinked. "So you're saying you're the firewall?" "No, I'm saying no one else is building one." The audience was no longer laughing. They were leaning in. Colbert shuffled his cards. "Let's pivot to billionaires. You've been called everything from a tech visionary to a Bond villain. What do you say to people who claim you're out of touch?" Musk straightened. "I've slept on factory floors. I've fired friends to keep companies alive. I've made enemies in industries where losing isn't just bad business. It's death. And yet," Colbert interrupted, "you troll on Twitter like a frat bro with Wi-Fi." Elon grinned. "I also build rockets. I think people can handle nuance." Laughter returned, this time with undertones of respect. What happens when mockery meets momentum? When the crowd goes from amused to moved? Can a late-night exchange shift public opinion and history with a single truth bomb? The studio lights didn't change. but the mood had. The audience that came for satire now sat in rapt attention. Even Stephen Colbert, professional provocateur, leaned in with something unfamiliar behind his eyes. Hesitation. He tried to reclaim the rhythm. So, Elon, SpaceX, Neuralink, X, Tesla, how many world-changing toys can one man juggle before something crashes? Elon tilted his head. It's not juggling, it's prioritizing. You focus on what matters most. Then you make room for everything else. Earth, Mars, energy, consciousness. If I don't try, who will? Colbert crossed his arms. Sounds heroic or narcissistic. Isn't that the burden of anyone who dares to disrupt? Elon countered. We mock ambition until it succeeds. Then we rewrite the story. The audience was unusually quiet. Colbert tapped his desk. Let's talk ego. Some say you're thin-skinned. You block critics. You meme opponents. You've even mocked journalists. Elon's voice lowered. Criticism is fine. Lies aren't. My tolerance ends where dishonesty begins. Truth isn't cruelty, but pretending deception is freedom. That's dangerous. Colbert raised an eyebrow. So no regrets? No misfires? Musk paused. Plenty. I've tweeted things I shouldn't. I've said things I regret. But the greater failure would have been saying nothing at all. A beat. Then Colbert, voice softening, asked, do you ever get tired? Not physically, existentially. Elon's gaze drifted slightly. Every day, but I'd rather burn out building than rust waiting. The audience murmured in a new tone, not applause, not laughter, reflection. Colbert nodded slowly. All right, final question. If you could tell this audience and the world one thing without interruption, what would it be? Elon leaned in. We're living in a time where comfort is killing urgency. We've built systems that reward outrage more than action. I don't want followers. I want people to think deeply, to question, to build. Because if we don't start acting like stewards of the future, we'll become relics of the past. The silence afterward was absolute, and then came a slow, building applause. Not thunderous, but earned. Colbert adjusted his tie, forced a smile. Ladies and gentlemen, Elon Musk. The camera panned out, but the energy lingered. The next morning, news outlets across the political spectrum dissected every frame. Colbert's team released the full uncut interview online, an unusual move, which only fueled the buzz. Headlines clashed. Musk evades accountability. Colbert caught off guard. Disruptor redefines late night. But the public's reaction told a deeper story. Young entrepreneurs, educators, and engineers shared clips of the interview in classrooms and on social feeds. Elon's statement, "We're rewarding outrage more than action," appeared on whiteboards and LinkedIn banners. Whether one admired him or not, the confrontation had stirred something dormant. In a surprise move 2 days later, Colbert addressed the interview in a follow-up monologue. Did Elon Musk win? He asked the audience. So, that's not the question. The question is, did we listen? The audience applauded, but it wasn't the usual applause. It was thoughtful, uneasy, honest. Meanwhile, Elon continued as always, posting about Starship launches, power grid overhauls, AI ethics panels. But something had shifted. For once, the narrative wasn't being dictated by sound bites. It was shaped by consequence. Some moments trend, others transform. This one did both. Like, comment, and share this moment if you believe some conversations deserve more than applause. They deserve action.